Hi, my name is David, and this is my wife, Brittany, and my wife hates bourbon.
Okay, I don't hate bourbon. I hate bourbon neat, and I hate bourbon on the rocks.
I kind of hate bourbon.
No, bourbon's gross neat. It tastes like fireworks.
So you hate bourbon?
No, I like a bourbon cocktail. We'll get to that, though.
All right, fine. All right, well, what we're going to do is we are going to taste some of my favorite brands of bourbon. My wife is going to probably still hate bourbon at the end of this all, but hopefully I'll make her a convert at some point in the near future. Maybe not.
I might be here against my will.
And then I'll teach you how to make a drink with this specific bourbon at the end. So stay tuned for that if that's what you're interested in. But first, let's talk about what we're drinking today, which is one of my favorite daily drinkers, Buffalo Trace, which used to be pretty hard to get. You could actually get this now at most grocery stores, unless your state doesn't have grocery stores that sell spirits. So a spirit place, you could probably get it for about $20 to $25 a bottle. It's a great daily drinker. I think it has a lot of the flavors that I like, but we'll see if it has a lot of the flavors that my wife, Brittany, likes.
It's questionable.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so here's a little bit about Buffalo Trace Distillery. Nestled in Frankfort, Kentucky, Buffalo Trace Distillery is America's oldest continuously operating distillery. It has roots dating back to 1775. The distillery has survived fires, floods, even prohibition when it legally produced medicinal whiskey. It currently sits on ancient buffalo migration paths, which is what inspired its name. Over the centuries, it has perfected its craft, earning more awards than any other distillery in the world. Today, it's home to some of the most iconic bourbon brands like Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Blanton's, Weller, Stag, and of course, the legendary Pappy Van Winkle. All right, so let's get to the tasting. I'm going to do a pour. We'll do a small pour, don't worry, won't be big. Get you a little bit there. All right, and there's 3 elements that I want you to think about when we're doing this tasting. And by the way, if you spill some and you rub it on your hands really tight and you smell it.
I'm sorry.
You could actually smell the grains.
You know what that reminds me of?
No.
I remember it was the movie Superstar where she's like, sometimes when I get really nervous, I stick my hands on my armpits and then I smell them like.
That was an SNL skit. Yes, I do remember that.
No, it also came from a movie.
Okay.
But that's what that reminds me.
Which came from an SNL skit. So, all right. So take your glass. By the way, there's no improper way to drink bourbon. I prefer it neat. Some people like it with ice. Some people like it with, it doesn't matter how you hold it. It really doesn't. It's not like wine where if you hold it like this, you're a monster.
You're an absolute monster. Yeah. If you hold a wine glass like that, it's not a goblet.
All right. So I prefer it in these Glencairn glasses just because sometimes if the glass is too big and you take a whiff of it, you could actually like smell your breath if you're breathing into it. So these kind of leave it to just the smell of the alcohol. So give it a smell. There's 3 components to a typical spirit tasting. The nose, which is the smell, the palate, which is the initial flavor, and then the finish, which is kind of what is left afterwards. So take a whiff. What do you smell?
Well, first of all, I think I lost some nose hairs.
This is like one of the weakest.
I smell ethanol.
Okay.
Are we doing it right?
That's alcohol. Yes, it does have alcohol in it. In fact, this one's about 90 something proof. I think it's 90 or 92 proof. 90 proof. All right. So the proof does impart flavor, but typically once you drink enough bourbon or spirits, you kind of lose the alcohol flavor and then you're left over with things that we really like caramel, vanilla, maybe some oak.
That's cool that you smell that.
Maybe cinnamon.
No, you cannot spell cinnamon.
Maybe white pepper. Probably not in this, but this is one of the more. The reason why I picked this is because one of the more sweeter bourbons, I think. So it's more caramely than it is like spicy.
I don't even know the difference between white and black pepper. How can you?
You know what? I read it on the forums, and they say white pepper.
Sure,
so.
I smell it too for sure.
All right, so that's the nose.
Okay.
All right, you ready? So swirl it around a little bit. Give it some air. You've done wine tastings. This is really no different.
Yeah, mine is the ethanol.
Come on. Wine has alcohol, just not nearly as much.
It doesn't taste like firewater.
This does not taste like firewater.
Okay, that's subjective. That's an opinion that you are allowed to have.
You're wrong.
There's wives out there watching this, please Please back me up on this. It tastes like fire water.
Men, I need you in the comments below. Back me up on this. She's wrong. Okay, so we're ready for the palate. So take a sip. When you sip it, I want you to get some on your tongue, push it up into the roof of your mouth so that it like overflows into your cheeks and you can kind of taste it through all of your taste buds.
Okay.
All right. It's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. Come on.
Oh my God, why does it burn all the way down?
So that would be the,
like
that would be the finish,
boobs.
right? So the palate is kind of the initial taste while it's in your mouth. And I think it's got a sweet flavor to it. I think it's got like a vanilla caramely flavor to it. And then kind of, it does burn a little bit on the back end, but most spirits do. So, but I think this is delicious.
That's nice. Do I have to drink more?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's part, you signed up for this, remember?
Did I though?
Is this a wine tasting or is this a bourbon tasting? This is a bourbon tasting. Last time I checked, this was a bourbon tasting.
I think I was voluntold.
I don't think you were.
That I was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like name a single time in the history of our relationship where you actually were told to do something and you did it.
Yeah. Wow, this bourbon smells real interesting.
It got cold. Is it cold? It's really cold in here.
You have to air out all our dirty laundry. So rude. Back to the bourbon tasting.
Great.
Do I have to smell it every time before I drink
But
it?
I like to, because it's part, for me at least, it's part of the experience, is the smell, the caramely smell.
I think it made my nose run.
You can taste there's a little bit of rye. This mash bill, so a mash bill is kind of like the recipe for bourbon. So bourbon's got to be at least 51% corn. So it's mostly corn. There's usually some rye, some wheat, depending on if it's a wheated bourbon or not. There's some barley in there. Most bourbons usually have like rye and barley. So rye is really spicy. Have you ever had rye bread?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. We will not be doing rye tastings. This is going to stick with bourbon, which is a little bit sweeter. Rye tends to be really spicy because it's got like that rye seed in it. And that seed has a very specific flavor and it comes through in the alcohol.
So rye bourbon tastes like rye bread?
No, but the spiciness of like rye seeds in bread, you can taste it when you eat it. It has a very distinct flavor. Rye bourbon, rye whiskey has a very distinct flavor to it. So not rye bourbon, rye whiskey. They do make bourbons that are high rye though. So they'll have at least 51% corn, but they might have like 30 or 40% rye with the remaining.
Sorry, you said bourbon, high rye bourbon, not whiskey, or did you say whiskey, not bourbon? And what is the difference?
All right, so all bourbons are whiskey, not all whiskeys are bourbon. Okay, so everything, all of these are whiskey. All right, the difference, bourbon has some very specific processes you have to go through in order to make it. For example, in order to be called bourbon, it has to be made in the United States. It has to be at least 51% corn. Okay, it has to be aged. I don't think there's an age restriction on it. It's got to be at least 2 to 4 years. I don't remember the specifics. We'll put that in the notes. But there are some very specific things. Once you get less than 51% corn, it can't be called bourbon. It can be called whiskey. If it's got at least, I don't know what the specifics are on rye, but typically if a majority of the mash bill is rye, then it's a rye whiskey. But they have what they call a high rye bourbon, which is bourbon where it's like 30 to 40% rye. So, and if you're a distiller, don't quote me on any of that, but that's just what I know.
So it's like champagne from France. You can't call it champagne unless it comes from the Champagne region of France.
I think, they're stuck to that? Because I've seen like Costco champagne from like
sparkling wine or Prosecco.
Napa. Okay.
No, not you can't have champagne at Napa. Ew. We should do a husband.
No, this is a bourbon show. This is a bourbon show.
My husband hates wine podcast.
All right. So sadly, my wife still hates bourbon.
I don't hate it. It's just as gross when it's neat.
All right.
And
so
warm.
let's switch to let's make something with this.
Anything.
All right. So we're gonna go down to the kitchen and we're gonna make something with Buffalo Trace bourbon, which I think tastes fantastic neat.
Yeah. You can add the rest of that.
All right, one down. All right, for our cocktail, we are gonna use Buffalo Trace. We are going to make a classic whiskey sour. All right, so the ingredients in a whiskey sour, it's gonna have 2 ounces Buffalo Trace. It's going to have 3/4 ounces of fresh lemon.
1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Optional egg whites, which we are going to use today because personally I love the frothiness. He's skeptical, but I'm going to prove him wrong.
So it's going to water down the bourbon.
It's not. It's going to be delicious. And another optional lemon slice or a cherry.
All right, so let's make this drink. We're going to do 2 ounces. So nice heavy pour. 1, 2, a little bit more.
Next up is 3/4 ounce of lemon juice.
All right, this only goes to 1/2 ounce. Oh, there's 3/4 ounce right there.
See if I can get that all out of this one lemon. I think I can do it.
Put your back into it. Oh man, it squirted everywhere.
That's
Jesus Christ. All right, let's see if we got 3/4 ounces out of that.
I did it.
We did, there you go.
Yes.
And then some. All right, so we're gonna mix that. Boom. We're gonna put,
1/2 ounce of simple syrup.
you got it? And the whites of 1 egg, we did pre-froth this, so it's nice and frothy. It's super frothy.
Don't say it like that.
I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in here. Frothanol, not ethanol. All right, there we go.
Oh, wait, hold on, the lemon juice.
Yeah,
Oh,
we already
you
put
already
the lemon juice in. Yeah, you're gonna screw this up already. Jesus. You already diluted the alcohol. All right, go ahead and give it a shake.
It did bartend in college. Is that shook enough for you?
It's very shook. Can we get some ice cubes?
You can.
All right, please, nobody give me a hard time. These are not clear ice cubes because I'm too cheap to get the clear ice cube. All right, we are gonna top this off with a Luxardo cherry, one of my favorites. And a lemon wedge, which we do not have cut.
Hold, please.
All right, so maybe not a lemon wedge. Let's do a lemon slice.
I like this slice. I feel like the slice
let's
is a
do
little
the
bit more
slice,
elevated.
for sure. Nice thin slice. Oh yeah, look at that. And we're done. This is a classic whiskey sour with Buffalo Trace whiskey.
I'm actually excited for this.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Could use a little bit more alcohol.
It still tastes like bourbon,
It's bourbon.
but it's better.
It's bourbon. My wife hates bourbon. If you like this video and this type of content, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.